Stardate 7.17.25. 2 years. 2 long years since we've been with the crew of the Enterprise. But Strange New Worlds is back this week with 2 new episodes. And to honor the occasion, I made a special montage. Enjoy it and join me for my review of both episodes now.
Let's make sure that history never forgets the name Enterprise.
Engage.
Buckle up.
Second star to the right. And straight on till morning.
Thank you. Let's go.
These are the continuing voyages of the starship Enterprise.
Welcome Matters With. I'm your host, ThisPhillipBrian. Today we're here to discuss Trek Matters With You, Season 3, Episodes 1 and 2 of Strange New Worlds. Season 3 picks up right where Season 2 left off with a slightly new intro. The ship is in danger. Several members of the crew and hundreds of colonists have been captured by the Gorn to be digested.
Stay calm. Stay calm.
First things first, as a matter of storytelling, they do a little bit of a bait and switch, as Admiral April's orders are immediately reframed. It would have been better if they'd have gone with simply losing all communication with Starfleet and left Admiral April completely out of it. As it is, the Federation comes off as weak, and sometimes it is. Sometimes Starfleet, the United Federation of Planets, doesn't stand up for the philosophies they profess, particularly when it gets complicated. As many starship, especially Enterprise captains, have pointed out over the decades.
How many people does it take, Admiral?
La'an, Mbenga, Sam Kirk, and Ortegas work to escape the Gorn mothership and find a way to free the colonists. Scotty devises a way to disguise the Enterprise so it can be positioned in a manner to neutralize the Gorn fleet. Spock and Chapel work to solve/cure the Gorn infection before the infection hatches. They also have some ill-timed conversations. It is an action-packed episode, but also a bit of a letdown. After a great build-up, it falters under the weight of its own setup and stakes. It is resolved too cleanly, far too cleanly. All in all, it's an average episode of Trek, maybe even below average. Sure, there are many things about it I liked, particularly, as always, the performances, but it's fine.
Yikes.
Not an epic conclusion to a very promising first half of this two-parter. On to episode 2 of season 3, Wedding Bell Blues. Several months later, specifically April 2261, which is when this episode clearly takes place, and it looks like the arc of this season will build out from, which means that this is set 7 years after the events of The Cage, 2 years after season 1, episode 1 of Strange New Worlds, 4 years before Kirk becomes captain of the Enterprise, and 6 years before the events of the Menagerie, to place it in the overarching Big Trek timeline.
Nerd!
Little sidebar. Batel, Captain Batel of the Cayuga, or formerly of the Cayuga, now has Illyrian blood. Poetic? In this episode, we get backstory of Christine Chapel and Roger Corby, a relationship that we know is not going to end well. But we also get a mysterious bartender who gives Spock a drink that alters reality, and the awkward comedy ensues. I have been, to date, a fan of fleshing out the story behind Christine Chapel and Spock. However, it has crossed into a level of melodrama that tells me it's time to move on and let it lie.
Hi, Captain.
It is strongly implied that this mysterious bartender slash wedding planner is Trelane. and that he is Q's son, which is fine. I'm sure that can be worked out through a lot of dot connecting of canon and B canon and head canon, but that's a lot. On that note, though, Q Squared is a good book. Here are some of my takeaways. Scotty, not much of a drinker? Okay. Eric Ortegas now has a whole new level of PTSD. Bet there'll be more on that. La'an teaching Spock to dance? That's a win. That is gold. Almost everything regarding La'an, as portrayed by Christina Chong, is gold. During the first few episodes when this series started, I did not understand why we were spending so much time with La'an as a character. But over time, I have come to realize any time we spend with her is time well spent.
I'll inform the powers that be.
In summary, Wedding Bell Blues, much like the previous episode, is, as my stepfather used to say, fair to middling. These first 2 episodes of season 3, they're not bad. They lack luster or grit or grasp. They are far from Strange New Worlds or Star Trek's top tier, but they're fine. They're meandering in the middle. What did you think of the 2-episode premiere? And what do you think of Trelane making a clandestine appearance prior to Squire of Gothos?
Mr. Spock, you do have one saving grace after all. You're ill-mannered.
If you like Talking Trek, please subscribe and share with your fellow Trek fan friends. We'll talk soon.